Welcome to the HCI family of podcasts. We're your source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We share our own original research, explore industry trends, and interview executives and thought leaders from across the globe. Join us for practitioner-oriented content around all things leadership, HR, talent management, organizational development, and change management. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with the HCI family of podcasts. Shahar Botzer, welcome to the conversation today.
Hi, thank you, John, for having me.
It's a pleasure to be with you. You're joining us from Tel Aviv, Israel. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Utah. And today we're going to be talking about your work at the Good Company, kind of generally, but really zoom in and focus on the future of social impact investing, trends that you're seeing, opportunities that the future may hold. As we get started, I wanted to share Shahar's bio with everybody. Shahar Botzer is co-founder and managing partner at the Good Company, an early-stage VC fund with a mission to back bold entrepreneurs who solve the world's biggest challenges for people on the planet. They invest in software-driven innovations in digital health, education, energy, circular economy, and agriculture because they believe these are the domains where technology can rewrite the future. There's a whole lot more I could say about you and your background, the Good
Thanks.
Company, but I'm going to pause there. Anything you would like to highlight before we dive on into the broader conversation?
And you summarized it quite well. I've been doing it for 11 years already in the VC industry, backing founders who tackle those areas. And we can discuss why I chose to do it or what do I see, what do I see happening in these domains, but lead the way.
And let's start there. I would love to start by learning more about how you got to where you're at and why the Good Company, why is this kind of your mission? And then we can dig into, more about social impact investing to set the stage there and then explore more about trends and opportunities.
Sure. So maybe I'll speak briefly about my journey. My career started in a way quite early at the age of 13. It's not like I chose it, but I'm sitting on a wheelchair. I have a disability, and I was always using a wheelchair and needed the accessibility. And sadly, in Israel, in the early 90s, accessibility in the education system wasn't an
Mm,
obvious thing. And I found myself appealing to the Supreme Court in Israel,
mm,
asking for my rights, for more equal rights. And there's a legal precedent on my name. It was a long journey. It took 4 years. But the rights for people with disabilities in Israel for equal rights is based on that
mm,
case. So in a way, I think that the fact that I define myself as a change maker started there. I didn't plan to do a change in the country.
mhm,
I just wanted to, to study with my friends and to be independent. But at the end of the day, that's what happened, and many kids with disabilities enter the regular system, and that was the first time that I encounter a massive problem. And instead of accepting it, that it is what it is, my parents taught me that you can fix problems. So
mm,
I did that. Then I finished my studies. I volunteered to the army, like every other person here in Israel. One of the first people with disabilities in Israel, the army in computers, for 2.5 years. Then I studied accounting and economics in Tel Aviv University. I was elected as the chairman of the student union. And then for 10 years, I did a few micro careers. I couldn't decide between the, nonprofit social organizations and businesses because I
mhm,
felt that my passion is in change making, but I felt like my talent is more in business. So I was a CEO of a big nonprofit in Israel. Then I moved to the business sector. I ran a private company that I sold. And then I was a chairman of a public traded company in Tel Aviv stock market. And the two last things that I said were strictly business. So no passion, no purpose, only like making money.
mhm, mhm,
And then in 2014, I was lucky to meet the Cheshire family, Yoel Cheshire. He was my previous partner in 2B group. It's a single LP fund of one of the wealthiest families in Israel, and they were very active investing in Israeli technologies. And Yoel, the person who hired me, decided he wanted to start a impact VC.
Mm,
And he was looking for someone that have background both in the social sector and the business sector.
hmm
So I joined him. We started my previous fund that I managed between 2014 to 2020, called To Be Community. It was one of the first impact VCs in Israel. Did that for 6 years. Basically, all my background in VC is early stage, pre-seed and seed, working with founders from 0 to 1. And after doing it for 6 years with him, a few things happen. One is that my perspective about impact really changed, and we can maybe discuss it more, but I can say in a headline, I don't think it's a profession, impact investing. I think it's more of a mindset. And I decided, where do I want to invest my time? Which is like early stage VC, and focus on the domains. So focus on specific areas like what you said, education, digital health, agriculture, energy, and supply chain. That's where I feel the opportunity in Israel, like Israeli founders. That's where we have knowledge and the ability to lead companies that can actually help the future of humanity on this planet. And also that's where I feel there's alignment between the business KPIs and the impact KPIs. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for good companies looking to invest in places where it's not double bottom line, it's a single bottom line. The product itself solves a major issue for humanity, and then we only need to measure sales. We don't need to have separate KPIs for the impact. And in 2020, I started with my partner, Ido, who came from the mainstream VC industry and is a technology guy originally. We started good company, and now we're investing already from fund two. Maybe we can discuss also companies and some exciting stuff that we've done.
Well, that's excellent. Thank you so much for that background, and it's inspiring. When you said you kind of begin to discover your capacity as a change maker, that kind of sends shivers up my spine. Like I love hearing that. I love it when people kind of, it's not necessarily something a lot of people, think about as a kid, or think when I'm going to change, the disability landscape in Israel, or I'm going to, change the world via impact investing or whatever. It's also, it speaks to the power that each of us does have to influence and to make a difference. And sometimes more or less, not everyone's going to, have a case go to the Supreme Court that's going to, change disability rights for a whole country, but it does speak to just the broader notion that we all can be change agents and we all can drive change. And I love that your parents
Definitely,
were
you just
supportive.
need to,
I love that your
yeah, I'm
parents were
sorry.
supportive of that and encouraged it.
Yeah, you just need to be resilient enough because, in every change that you do, I just gave a lecture today to young doctors who are starting their journey, and they have like here in Israel, some kind of a leadership and entrepreneurship program. And at the end of the day, I told them that the number one thing we're looking in founders investing in pre-seed is resiliency. So we need them to be very mission driven. We need to see that they understand the specific problem they want to solve, and they have very deep connection to solving this problem. And we are looking for teams that will be able to navigate in rough waters. Because every overnight success that you read in the newspaper, it was actually many, many days and nights that it looked like it's not going to happen. But I definitely believe in the ability of people to make a change. There's a very nice African sentence that I like. I'm not sure I quote it properly, but it says, if you think that a small creature cannot make a big impact, you definitely haven't slept in a tent with a mosquito.
I love it.
Hey, it's Howie Mandel, and I am inviting you to witness history as me and my Howie Do It gaming team take on Gilly the King and Wallow 267's $1 million gaming in an epic global gaming league video game showdown. 4 rounds, multiple games, 1 winner, plus a halftime performance by multi-platinum artist Travie McCoy. Watch all the action and see who wins and advances to the championship match against Neo right now at globalgamingleague.com. That's globalgamingleague.com. Everybody games.
Yeah, absolutely. We all can make an impact.
Yeah.
That's inspiring, and just hearing your journey, through your upbringing, military education, early career to where you're at now. It also, I think, shows that we need all types from all backgrounds in the social impact space, trying to drive change for the world. There's no one size fits all, and you could have gone the nonprofit route. You could have gone a whole number of ways, and the path that you took, perhaps a bit nonlinear, but most of us end up in kind of nonlinear paths, and it's just about finding what you're good at, your passions, your drive, leaning into it, and then finding ways to provide your unique contribution, based on your skills and your talents and the meaning and purpose that you derive from what you're trying to contribute. So I think all that's just fantastic. Uh,
Thanks.
so you started to tease a little bit about your next fund, social impact investing. Now you're involved with this VC. You shared a little bit about what types of individuals you're looking to support, the types of causes and issues that are important to you. Tell us a little bit more about this next fund.
So Good Company, we started in 2020, founded it, Ido and me. And the idea behind Good Company is the intersection between me, that I came from like an orthodox impact fund that had like, metrics for the impact and asked for every company to be a B Corp, and we were very religious about the way we did impact. Still in technology, but that was the state of mind. And Ido, who came from SAP fund, SAP IO, and then from one of the leading firms in Israel, completely generalistic, and from technology, and he just saw opportunities in digital health and in agriculture, and he thought like those are amazing business opportunities and huge markets, and the hardware and the infrastructure change in the past decade. So there's an opportunity there. And he understood that most of the VCs in Israel will not invest in those spaces because they're all going after the same deals in cyber and in fintech and those kind of areas. And also they're very technology oriented and not problem oriented. So they're moving away from like real life problems. So we actually knew only one person, a mutual contact, and he's a guy from New York, a friend of our both, and he connected us. And he all came to meet me because he wanted to learn what is impact investing. But I just came like 2 weeks after
Mm,
being in a program in Oxford of impact investors, and I had like the opportunity to think about my portfolio and what succeeded, what didn't succeeded. And when he met me, I just told him, listen, I'm going to save you 5 years of hard work.
hmm
It's not a profession. It sounds like what you do is like you are a very good early stage investor. He told me about stuff that he invested in. If you really want to create impact, just pick the domains that you want to specialize in. It can be agriculture, it can be digital health. Become the best investor that you can be in those spaces. Create relevant partnerships with corporates, relationship with later stage VCs. So founders will know that you are able to help them, and then you will get good deals. Because the product that we are providing as a VC, as a venture capital, is one, access to deal flow. So I
hmm
need to convince you that I can get to deals that you cannot get by yourself. And two, after I am able to invest there, because those founders want me in, they want me on their board, I'm also able to help them. And then I can create more value because the company succeeds and becomes more bigger and profitable and scale. So in what I learned by doing is that in order to get to those deals and in order to help those founders, which is the profession, venture capital, not impact. Nobody came to me because I'm an impact investor. I need to specialize on the domains, and I need to be very educated about the problems, about the sales cycles, about the buyers, about who will be the next investor on the next round, etc. And that's what we're doing in Good Company. We're giving the overlooked, actually, a lot of the founders that we invested. We did 17 investments so far. Most of them are second timers. So there's a very big movement in Israel of second timers, successful entrepreneurs that decided that they want their next venture to be in energy or in agriculture, and we are the home for them. We will be their first check, and we will help them later on to bring checks from Bessemer, Lightspeed, Owl Ventures, etc.
Yeah, well, that's really cool. And one thing I'm hearing crystal clear from you is that first and foremost, you have to have expertise, you have to have domain experience. And so, impact investing in and of itself, like you can't really separate it out as like I just do impact investing. It's like you do investing, you're great at it, you're great at the domain, you're great at identifying great prospects and providing support. And you happen to do it in a fashion that is social impact oriented, where you're driving to make a difference. And I do think that's something that sometimes is lost on folks, whether we're talking about the nonprofit world generally. Lots of people get into the nonprofit space because they have big hearts, because they want to make a difference. Lots of people found nonprofits, but there's a lot of redundancy. There's not always a clear sense of like, what is our value proposition? What are we contributing? What's the gap that we're addressing? And there's often a big gap between passion, that maybe someone in the nonprofit world has versus expertise that is needed to be successful in that space. And so that is, just something I think is really worth reiterating. I don't want to deter anyone, with passion, with me, seeking meaning and purpose, someone with a big heart who wants to make a difference. I don't want to deter anyone from getting into this space, but just know that that isn't enough. Like you really do have to have expertise. You really
Yeah,
do
I think
have,
there is a big difference between, and both of them are fine. We just need to identify. There's philanthropy,
yeah,
and there will always be need for philanthropy projects and nonprofits. Because if you have a hungry child, you need to feed him, not only to teach him how
right.
to make money by himself. But if you want to create profit with purpose, if you want to do what people call impact investing, so you need to understand that impact is not an excuse for bad business.
Yeah,
Because
right.
if I brought money from investors and I told them I'm going to create impact, in order to create impact, I need to make profit because I
Mhm.
need to scale.
You have to be sustainable.
And if not, it's philanthropy. It's in the other bucket. And I don't want to take money from there. I want to bring new money to the table. The money that good company fundraise in Israel and the US and Europe is money that is looking for a great ROI. Our investors are expecting to get at least 3x on their money, not less than any other VC. At the same time, because we invest, I can give you like two examples. We invested in Bee Hero. Bee Hero is a company that solved the problem that bees are dying, and humanity is relying on bees in order to pollinate fields and so humanity will have food. Our food system is relying on bees. So what they do, they use IoT devices and AI in order to understand what's going on in each beehive at each point of time and also give recommendation. And they sell pollination as a service using their technology. So Bee business model is to save bees. That's their business model. They have no way. Today, they're already the biggest pollination provider in the US. And they're selling like 100 million a year. So this company have no chance for mission drift. What mission drift is something that happens in impact investing. That
Yeah.
you invest in something that you think will be X, but at the end of the day, it became something else. So because the essence of the company is to save bees, and by that, creating value, business value. Or we invested in a company called Healthy, also based in New York. That what they do is they help American people to understand, employees to understand their medical insurance. So you can enter their platform, write, I have a back pain, what am I covered for? And it will take you the whole journey and also will offer you other proactive health rights that you have in your insurance in order to keep you healthy. And their KPI is to make sure that people are using their medical insurance in order to stay healthy and have less sick days at work. So those are the kind of stuff that we're looking for. Like I said, that has a single bottom line.
Yeah. No, I think that's all very well said. And And ultimately, like you said, you got to make profits because that's how businesses survive. So if you want to have long-term impact, you definitely have to have a financially sustainable
Yeah, it's
business
not only
model.
that, John, you also want to touch as many people as possible, right?
Yeah.
So you want to save as many bees as possible. You want to keep as many people healthy as possible. So the more scale you create, the more people life you affect.
Yep, absolutely. Well, Shahar, this has just been a really fabulous conversation. I really appreciate you sharing of yourself, your experience, your insight around impact investing. I know at the time and I need to let you go, but before we wrap up, I
Thank
just
you.
wanted to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, find out more about your work, your team, and then give us the final word for today.
So, first of all, thank you for the opportunity. You can find me on LinkedIn and also our website, gc-vc.com. And that's it. Just as I said, impact is not an excuse for bad business.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you so much, Shahar. It's been a pleasure. I encourage the audience to reach out, to get connected, find out more about what Shahar can do for you. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the podcast. We hope you stay healthy and safe, and please join us again soon.